Oh, hi. Sorry this is a little late. So I'm going to be working today on a bit more Second Earth. Robbie has left for San Francisco for GDC. He did a bunch of work with Jonathan to do some new features. I can kind of just show you what he kind of stuck in. There's this ability. So this is a base building game that has some multiplayer aspirations, and you kind of build defenses and you build a town, and then defend against kind of Starship Trooper style like bugs. So you connect up things on a power network. You build power things require power. You mine for ore. Some kind of fairly standard base building things with like a kind of truck system that's a bit unique and pushing for kind of a bit of they are billion style tower defense with less RTS elements. So no commanding units. You're just building. You're not moving units around. You're just building defenses. So kind of like a tower defense, but with an economy. Um, so here's some like cool trees and stuff, which is super rad. And this little building here, Terraformer, gets to do this. There's also you can build these farms. I'm not doing this well now, but you can build farms here that actually require terraforming to work. Um, as you can see, it starts terraforming, and these farms start going active, and then little farmers are going to walk out, and it's going to start working. I could speed this up by putting that there. But um, as yet, this isn't particularly linked to the game. Or at least it's linked to the game, but it's not linked enough to kind of really warrant its incorporation or use, other than it makes the game look cool. And there's also these. This is like entirely aesthetic at the moment, but if you were to terraform these areas, you'll see there's these like houses. This is like the housing community center. And like trees grow, and I think that's pretty cool. It starts to look like an actual place. Ignore the wire going through the building. Um, anyway, this kind of gives you a bit of an idea. Is a tree going to grow there? Yes. A little bit of an idea of what we're doing. And now there's a couple days before I myself leave for GDC, and what I need is to include these things in the game and teach players how to use them as well, because every new system requires that there be teaching added with it. Um, these little radars rotate slowly. Anyway, yeah. So I think this. I mean, now that this is all green and that, this makes the game like way better um, in a number of ways. So here's baddies. If you haven't seen this already, this is kind of the flow of the game. Um, they're gonna try attack my things. Little guys come out to shoot at them. Um, and I probably survived this wave. Though, really, I would have needed to have worked a lot more on the destroyed some things. Worked a lot longer on the what's it like the defense network to really be safe, particularly for later waves that obviously increase in ferociousness. Yeah. So today, what I'm going to be doing in the next 2 hours, anyways, discussing with Jonathan if we have any ideas how to make these terraformers actually kind of really benefit the player in a way that will feel fun. Like these crops are nice, but they're not really providing like a massive advantage. Um, and failing that, I'm just going to work on levels. To make them work with they still have old prefabs in them with the old economy, and now there's this new economy that involves kind of building houses, and they you sort of have community centers that then connect up to the houses, and the community centers make more use more resources and make more money when there's when the houses are when there's lots of houses connected to them. Yeah. So I'm gonna see. I really like these little trees that grow that Jonathan and Robbie made. These make me really happy. They blow nicely in the wind. My crappy bushes don't blow in the wind, but Jonathan said he'd sort that out. They look cuck for the moment, but it's nothing that Jonathan can't fix. Out of interest, Terence, is there anything coming over, anything people are particularly interested in here? Because I'll respond to some comments as you go. Maybe someone else has a solution, or someone who's played this game a little bit, knows of a way that maybe terraformers could operate that sort of in works with the player's goal of staying alive, which is largely somehow connected to preferably a way to hurt bugs or stop bugs, either through having the resources to do that for other buildings, or having some direct attack that kind of makes sense in a sort of oxygen-related theming kind of way. So if anyone knows how to do that, or seen another game that has like a terraforming angle to it that also allows for defensive capabilities, that would be helpful. Otherwise, enjoy watching me fiddle with levels and try set this up and try and balance these things. Jonathan is busy doing something that I don't even understand. He's busy rendering animations into a texture that is run on the GPU, so that little spaceman guys in the game can be batched more efficiently by the GPU and don't need for the animations and meshes and the bones and stuff to be sent via Unity to the GPU every frame. So in theory, lots more of them. And I don't understand how that works, but I think it's really cool. And it makes me afraid that if Jonathan were to become interested in a different project, there'd be no way to finish this game because no one else knows how to do this. Is that a fair representation of it?
I mean, sort of yes, but if I worked on another project, I could come in for like 2 days or something.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Did we come up with any solutions to the terraforming yesterday? So I know I chatted about. So I worked until 5 in the morning last night, but I was making good progress. I mean, I think it's kind of working. Not the terraforming so much as the new economy system, the new houses and the new greenhouses and new crops. I don't think the terraforming. So it needs to do more than just add, allow the more expensive and more nutrition sphere crops to grow, because that's nice, but that's only really nice as a side effect. You want to be building the terraforming for a different reason first. And without that reason, it's a bit weird having them even in. It needs to be something quite helpful. But we only really, we've constrained ourselves at this point to 2 resources really. Or 3, it's really like electricity, which things need to be connected to, ore, which is largely used to make electricity and turrets, and money, which comes from the economy. Now, adding to any one of those most of them don't make sense. You can't get electricity from terraforming. You can't, if there was a third or fourth resource, maybe like you could cut down trees for bio oil or something.
Right.
I don't know, although solar panels are pretty sustainable and tritium is another way to get electricity. The I mean, you could make like another resource that's terraforming is required to get, but that's pretty involved as well.
Yeah.
Could it be that they're defensive in the sense that bugs get hurt when they're on, like they make this, like grass hurts bugs?
I mean, also just visually, it feels kind of. I think it feels better when you're going outward, as opposed to like building a bunch of terraformers just randomly around the world, and like
Yeah,
just having these little patches of ground. It seems to feel better when it's a larger mass.
it looks good as well. So we also talked about like an oxygen rating, like how much like oxygen the level has, and oxygen is useful for something. Flamethrowers is one of the suggestions.
Yeah.
The you could have like a. Wonder if you. I mean, okay, so I don't actually want to do this, but you maybe when there's enough oxygen and you shoot a bug, it explodes instead of just dying. Like bugs occasionally explode with enough oxygen. And it's kind of fun, but it's a bit daft.
I mean, with things going, I think a little bit of like StarCraft creep, but it's just like the thinking that when you are building near terraformed things or near terraformed terrain, you get benefits just from being there. But you're growing it outward from your base as opposed to these like separate clusters.
So I like the like overall O2 level just because it means you're gonna start placing them outward. Like it's gonna get players to try and cover their base if they're going for that in terraformers. And we could make them. I've made them cost like power, but we could make them pretty cheap power wise. But then they have to have probably ultimately some military purpose. I don't think it's necessarily that good. Making the terraformers just somehow make more money. The way they might eventually be good, but we don't have the buildings. We don't have like a second tier of economy that requires way more capital, way more cash or whatever. Like we would need a tier of things that are like, you build condos or whatever, like, or you build not just housing but like super housing, and it's all like these glass, like I don't know, mirror glass, like skyscrapers or whatever.
So if it's oxygen, then like oxygen becomes a third resource that you use.
Yeah. Well, what about? So if you could build something that uses oxygen, so it actually like decreases. It needs oxygen in the atmosphere, and it uses it. That would be kind of cool. Here's a weird one. What if there was a biogenerator? The biogenerator used food, which we already have, and oxygen. And you could buy a bioreactor, and that way you could get power from terraforming.
Right.
And that like starts to warrant some terraforming. Could there be anything else that uses oxygen? So like eats up oxygen, and it obviously doesn't work when O2 levels are too low.
Any combustion process?
So eventually we'd want that for, Chris says any combustion process, but I mean, could you have like oxygen bombs or whatever, and for instance, like it just eats oxygen, makes uh, makes like fuel for turrets, but like it's like not as effective as tritium, let's say.
Pig farms and methane, like in Mad Max.
So we've really got a farm that is better for the use of terraforming, but not for oxygen.
Because the methane can be used as fuel for vehicles or
Pig farm.
pigs are the most efficient.
I mean, you could have
You can
O2 fuel. You could have.
Using the trees could be cool too.
Yeah, planting them to counter
Yeah.
gas process.
I don't know if I want to try use the trees just yet, though, in terms of like what I need to implement to make it work.
Right.
They don't actually understand Robbie's tree system. I don't know what he's doing, and it sort of requires almost like a plantation thing, which I think we should have. I think that would be flipping cool. A plantation thing. So bioreactors seems like a actually. I mean, we're convoluting the game. Like there's like 3 ways to generate power then, which is like it's almost good for. But what would be good for is a level with like no tritium and like high sandstorms,
Right.
and then you want or low light, like you'd want that. I mean, it could just be a make a bioreactor. It only exists in this one terraforming level.
Yeah.
So that way it doesn't clunk up the whole interface. But it's only one building, so it's not too serious.
I don't know if it's useful to like draw up a table of where of what contributes toward each resource and what uses it, and then sort of gap or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think it wouldn't be unuseful. The problem is it also has to be thematic with oxygen. We already have the terraforming. Like, this might not have been a smart thing to do,
Right.
but now we've got a position where our outputs are fertile soil, and our other output is what we'd be adding now is oxygen. And the things we want is that to benefit our defenses ultimately. Probably not benefit our money, because I don't think there's a constraint on money for the player's experience. We want them to build. In any case, we want them to build bigger cities, so that's not make the cities more effective, which is a thing we will do eventually. But right now, I'd rather people build bigger cities than more condensed cities. So we're left with power, which is interesting. Some kind of direct defense, like a flamethrower or oxygen bombs, which could be interesting. Like oxygen bombs could be interesting, sort of. But it's like it means getting to reuse the mortar towers and make those more common, which is kind of nice, but it's kind of dumb as well. What if like you had a bioreactor and it had like it'd be nice if you could have like a building that does one thing, like makes electricity, and it has an output of like oxygen bombs or something. Like it's.
So if you used it with a mortar tower, then you may not have to use the mortar tower with tritium.
But you have to, instead of it's a different. It's nice in some ways having 2 paths to things, because it's like more playful space. Tritium requires like 1 tritium mine, which costs you 100 ore. Each mortar tower costs 75 ore. So getting the bioreactor getting oxygen reactor working, whatever that is, um, requires probably like 6 terraformers that have to spend some time doing it
Yeah,
as
that's a
well.
lot of cost.
And that's like, well, I mean, it's 150. You're gonna have to build another building that actually makes the thing,
Yeah.
and that would probably cost 100 itself. So it's like, it's like 3 times more expensive or something, to get to the
Yeah.
same.
Plus the waiting time.
And plus, we'd want those bombs to be a bit weaker
Right.
because they're buildable anywhere, and the tritium is limited to a location. So it wouldn't be as good. I mean, we would balance it to be not as good, but it doesn't make sense that it would be as good as tritium, like nuclear bombs, basically, or fusion bombs. But I'm not sure about the bombs thing, but that would be like quite a nice direct terraforming to attack. But thematically, I don't like the idea of oxygen bombs, and also thematically, I don't like really the idea of terraforming being linked so directly to military. Like, but terraforming to power to military sounds good, and it gives us an excuse to build more farms, which look cool.
Yeah. I sort of keep thinking back to terraforming growing out from like your main starport or something.
Mm-hmm.
Also as like a way of, I mean, I don't know if it's something we'd want to discourage, but bases don't really look so cool to me when it's like you've got your main base a little bit to the side, and then there's like this giant gap, and then you're like building something way off, and then there's a gap, and you're building something way off somewhere else. It feels like you're gaming a system rather than sort of playing thematically.
Yeah. You should have seen Terrence play earlier on the, what is it, 3rd level. He filled the entire space, just like solid buildings.
And if it's about like building within where the terraforming has happened, somehow being more effective, it sort of does constrain your build space a bit.
Which is nice.
Yeah, which is nice, but then your build space also increases as you get more resources to build more terraformers to like grow it out more. It feels like a more organic way of developing things than being like very sort of Spartan. Where this is like this section's just gonna be solar farms.
One of the other things I was suggesting for the same reason, suggesting to Robbie a couple of days back before he left, was I don't really want to do this, but it solves a similar problem where you build a terraformer, and if you have terraforming in it, so what it required was like some sort of population concept. So I don't think I want to do that just anywhere nearly yet, but you would have your manned towers, your garrisons, and maybe actually you eventually make the towers look like they're manned, and then you would the people there would be able to get sick, and they get space lung.
Yeah.
But then the terraformers would be used to they wouldn't get sick when they were in a lush green terraformed space. So there'd be this, and that would naturally mean you don't want to just cover everything in terraformers because it's inefficient. But you put one near your defenses, and then you concentrate your defenses.
Yeah, you're putting them around where your people are likely to go.
Yeah, and it would kind of look like it would constrain the spaces, but it would also actually look like the terraforming served a purpose. You would be like going like, okay, people need to, and maybe that sort of thing can be done down the line. But yeah, like I think like having things with like overarching spatial constraint, like there's like having more spatial constraints to keep the base together, I think would be good. And maybe there's a way of making the terraforming, the grass growing algorithm kind of, if you had 4 terraformers near each other, or 3, like I think might be the case because it spreads. Robbie's done like a spreading algorithm.
So that should
But
spread faster.
It should actually spread faster and maybe further than just one.
Yeah.
So there might be a thing where if you had a density, you would get more land. Like almost like it might be if the I don't know how the algorithm exactly works, but you could actually put like 5 right near the center of your base, and it just
Right.
grows outwards from there. That would be like an algorithm that would like suit maybe the result we want, which is a thing which like encourages building things together. A sort of a soft limit on how you place buildings.
Mm.
I like the bioreactor idea most here. I think
I think it's easiest to make for now too.
yeah, I think it would be fun. Like it just means building more farms, and that's rad. Farms look good,
Yeah.
and it gives a reason to do a lot of terraforming and a second use for that like super farm thing.
Yeah.
So like it makes a super farm make sense. It's only one building. It indirectly helps your defenses possibly a lot. Encourages terraforming the whole map. It requires one building and a resource to be created.
Food actually ends up being like a resource that you don't like keep track of, but that is a part of your economy. And so like excess power goes to making your defenses work more efficiently. Excess food goes toward getting you excess power.
Yeah, it gives a second use for food, and I think that's really helpful. It's like there's lots of uses for ore and money and power.
Right.
Food only currently has the one, so it's going to make building farms more exciting. Yes! Okay, we did it. Yeah, I also like, I mean, what you said that triggered, I think triggers this. Maybe this doesn't work out, but the idea, I had thought of oxygen as like you have a certain amount of it and then it enables certain things to happen. But actually having a building that eats from oxygen and while you're creating it and uses oxygen like a commodity, but it's like it's overall it's an entire level.
And having levels of oxygens later may
Because-
be quite nice too. It feels like a tech tree somehow.
Yeah, it feels like you could get more advanced buildings
Yeah.
with like oxygen, or certain kinds of like crops and certain kinds of maybe and tree farms would be great. Like
Right.
we could make that a thing. That'll feel really base buildery, and maybe there's some sort of perk down the line which makes you be able to like explosions cause like lasting fires that burn
Right.
enemies, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's some fun fire-based things that could be good.
Yeah.
But-
Also, more reasons to make fire effects.
Yes, and that looks badass. Like that's exactly the kind of thing we want. Electrocuted, a perk that makes electrocuted aliens explode and hurt surrounding aliens when there's enough oxygen around.
Right.
Yo.
Yeah.
Yo. Very interconnected. Okay. Sorry if that was all very. Hey, is Robbie watching? Maybe he's saying that's a. Okay, no, he's just saying this looks good. I don't. But that's also good. That's good to know. Robbie from San Francisco is more privately messaging me, just saying the look of the terraforming, and that I think he's referring to really the houses is pleasing him. What is the? How do I go to? Here's like just like a time lapse thing that I think looks pretty good. We can do more of these kinds of things, like the terraform stuff growing. Okay, so bioreactor time. Making a new building. This wasn't what I was going to do this stream, but it's the exact right thing to do this stream. Well, it's the right thing to do right now because we needed to solve this before we could put up the terraforming because we can't have it so softly connected to the game and actually put it in the game because it's just wasting players' time. It's going to feel disappointing. They're going to hate me and Robbie and probably forgive Jonathan.
Ha!
But now that they've seen the conversation and they've evidence, they know it's your fault too.
It's part of your sneaky plan.
Yeah, I needed a conspirator. Also, Robbie can't be pissed off with me now if this is a bad idea. So
He'll just have to watch the stream and see that you're leading me on the whole time.
well, he's able to watch the stream. Apparently, he's online. So this is also his mistake for not watching the stream. If he hasn't been watching the stream, you hear that, Robbie? No excuse. I'm also going to make a new level for this because if we're going to include terraforming, it's way too complicated just to plop down on the first level. I also have this. I mean, so this is like a bad thing, but I have this perverse love of systems where my perfect game is so interconnected and complex that it could actually be impenetrable for a person who isn't me. It's also that thing where obviously it's always simple when you're making it because you understand how it works because you literally designed it like that. And I've got to keep on worrying that that what I think is reasonable complexity is not for a person because everything has to be explained. But even on top of that, I think that my perfect game is more complex than what most people actually want. Like, I'm not sure why. I think it's just I like to pick apart systems because I'm literally a game designer. But that's kind of this horrible bias that causes me to make decisions that aren't actually good for the game. I've got to watch out for. And it's, of course, compounded by the fact that I actually, necessarily know exactly how the game works because obviously I'm working on it. Okay. How big do you think a bioreactor is? Probably as big as a tritium reactor, right?
That one's like 3 by 4.
I think it's 3 by 2. Well, I can check now. Where is it? Here's the footprint. 3 by 3, okay. Huh, it doesn't look square. Yeah, same size probably. Okay, so here's our tritium reactor. This is, the terraforming map. I am going to just hack this so that so there's this cool thing with the why is desert fog that on the ground layer. So what's rad about the new farms in that is that they're now 1 block big, so it allows for much more free form construction of spaces. So here I can just do this, make this whole thing line up really nicely. The houses are invisible, which is not good on the other hand. This is a bit of a daft way of constructing levels, but it'll work. Oh, that's probably like that. Terrence, is there anything going on?
No, I was just watching and enjoying the conversation.
Is anyone actually watching?
Yeah, people are watching.
Hi there. Okay, so this tritium reactor is gonna become a bioreactor, I guess. Oh, this is gonna be so cool. Okay. Sorry if I'm a bit dopey today. It's because I worked until 5 in the morning last night on this because I've got today and a bit of tomorrow to put out an update, and it also needs to be tested, so I need to do it ASAP. Terrence has already played with it a bit, and turns out it's not much harder.
No.
It's. I mean, I know
There's
it.
a difference.
I know it is a bit harder because I made it harder. but I also don't really want to make it easier, I guess. Yeah, I'm a bit like, so the current economy, the houses and the farms actually cost more to get up and running. And the thinking is we want more of them. We don't want fewer of them. I could make them cheaper and less effective, or just cheaper. But what felt like I was finding or seeing was people would just build a little bit of houses and farms, and then they'd leave them the entire game because they were cheap and effective. So what I could also do is make things like ore mines a little cheaper. If you're that might be actually the solution to uh, the very expensive money things stay. Yeah, that's probably actually the solution. Ore mines could go down to 150. So make money not as what is it? Make the money go a bit further at the lower levels, but at the higher levels still things cost the same. And that'll mean that the more expensive economy setup gets you the ore mine at the same speed, because you need that, but then gets tritium mines and gets I suppose I could make a tritium mine a bit cheaper. Gets like the early ore costing things a little. Oh no, this is ore, so I'm not going to make this cheaper. Yeah, it's just really the ore mine that you need to get up and running very quickly, and then I can just make that cheaper, and it might balance out. Yeah, but then the more expensive credits things that large housing and farm systems use would then still stay expensive. So it means there's more reason to continue investing in houses and that in order to get to the late game sort of money economy, which allows you to do rad things like drop ore on. Speaking of that, I need to fix the ore drop. Ore drop explosion is amazing. Look at these good explosions. Look at this. This, unfortunately, does too much damage. What does it? What does it damage? 150 explosive. It just kills. Yeah, that's better. Okay. The ore drops are very effective. You could just drop a pile of ore on your enemies and they would just explode. But you'd also get the ore, which is kind of rad and costs a fair bit, but yeah, that's why you need lots of houses. Bioreactor time. So all of this art is kind of placeholder. I don't know why I can't see this. It's made out of this like kit that we've got of like these various pieces that we just got off the asset store. I think because there's a light here, it's doing this. So I want to do that. Yeah, we got like this thing that has all these like little bits in it, and we get to kind of move them around. And Robbie had a lot of fun making this tritium reactor. Looking at it, kind of looks like a bioreactor, actually, sort of. Maybe I can steal this design. Change this from tritium goop to bio goop, which is probably red. If it's made from nutrition spheres. I'm call this bio. Probably a brownie color, actually. What? This is probably the thing that's actually lighting it. Okay, there we go. Maybe that's too much. Okay. That's my biogoop. I don't have to make this look good right now, I guess, to make this work. What parts of this do I want to even keep? I think this cool bit needs to go. the bits that make the tritium reactor look really cool need to go, because otherwise this thing will just look very similar. I think I need to find, I'm not going to do this well on stream, but I might improve it later, unless I do it well by accident, which could be possible. But maybe I can use some of these, I don't know if you can see these things. No. So these are the kinds of pieces we have to work with. We can just make stuff out of this, which is, none of the art becomes final. This isn't working towards fine art. This is working towards art we can just use. Someday, we're going to worry about like making the game actually look good and finished. But we're not there yet. Kind of. It's a little scary to put in all of this placeholder art that doesn't look completely garbage and then have to like redo it all at some point. But I kind of like this workflow. Like I'm gonna be, in theory, I'm gonna be able to make a bioreactor module, in 20 minutes or so, and then I need to get rid of the bits that like, and then get the bits that look like the tritium reactor. In theory, I can make a bioreactor really quickly, and if that's true, it moves the project along, as opposed to being held up waiting on someone else to finish this off. So, bioreactors need a lot more smoke. That's like the big thing about bioreactors. If anything, they've got to look like they're steaming. So okay, three chimneys should do it. This thing, it has to be upright, doesn't it? Okay, I want the bioreactor to be more solid. So I'll take these pieces. This thing's pretty cool. Let's move it there. These pieces suck. I'll move them there. This whole bit. Okay, bioreactor time. Is there one with like? Is this the? Hold on. Oh, he's taking this apart. Okay. Extras. Is there one with it lying on its side? Yes! That's what I'm going to do. Screw you. Oh, there's two. Oh, yeah, I see. That's the one I want. And I guess now, because the farm, so we used to have houses that used, what is it? Like this kind of curved barn thing. What is it? That one. You used to have houses like this, but this is actually quite acceptable for a bioreactor. It looks kind of farmy. It's going to be kind of farmy in purpose because it'll be connected to farms, and it'll be using food to make energy. So this is quite, this is a good look for a bioreactor. This piece sucks. Maybe I need to see what's here. What is this? Oh, it's a pretty good piece. What's this? Okay. I like these. So Robbie is like feeling that there should be some symmetry in these things, which lack of. Robbie didn't want that much symmetry. I like symmetry, but I do hear his point that too much symmetry ends up just looking kind of boring. So let's see what we can do to, yeah, like industrial things often will have a certain kind of symmetry to them because, you know, they're made out of repeated shapes, and symmetrical shapes are generally quite sensible. I don't know about this. How does this actually look? Okay, it's not the worst, except that these aren't really finding their place. This, I think, needs to be big. One big one. And that pushes this over, which I think Robbie would be pleased about, because Robbie doesn't want it symmetrical. I wish that just worked. Okay, these guys. It's so close to being really good. Maybe it's good enough. No, not yet. So close. Okay. I might be able to just. I wonder if I could just cheat and say double that up. Something like that. I'm not going to notice the fact that these things aren't aligned. Okay. I guess I am. Okay, if it's doing that, I should just do this. Okay. Lining this up by eye, which isn't really good enough, but it's going to be good enough for now. Oh god, that's bad. Maybe I can just do this, hide it. Yeah, this could work. This could work. Okay. It's got problems it needs to solve, but it looks kind of bioreactor-like. And these intersections aren't the worst. That looks a bit daft. Maybe I can make this more symmetrical there. Yeah, that's looking good. This piece. It extends a bit out beyond the bounds. Oh, it looks so good though. Full target. This can go, this can go. Maybe. Gee, it's probably not as good as this. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Mm, That's kind of acceptable. I think. How should you get this in? You could just leave it. Maybe it doesn't matter that it only just overlaps. Maybe just there. Yeah. Done. Okay. Bioreactor. What? Okay, hold on. What have I done? I duplicated the towel out. Duplicating what? The smoke. The whole group. There. Okay. Yeah. That'll work. Okay. Now, what does this actually do? Power generator? Or what is it cost? Jonathan,
Yes.
if you got a bioreactor, so everything that produces power at the moment involves ore. So you tritium reactor, solar panels. Both use ore. A bioreactor, so you always have to build a mine
Right.
or collect rubble. Bioreactor, so greenhouses and farms both use credits to build, and terraforming uses, at the moment it uses it uses electricity, which is always going to be developed, it's always going to require ore, and it uses a little bit of ore, but it could use credits, so really, I don't know. You could make the bioreactor just use credits, so you can keep, if you've got lots of credits, you can keep on doing it, but it's probably better that it like uses both types of, it should use less ore than the other methods, because you have to put in a bunch of credits into the farms.
There's something very ESCOM-like about being able to throw credits into your furnace for electricity. Just burn all of the amount.
Wow. Yeah, and for context, our South Africa's electricity company decided, because there was some kickback for some individual, that they would burn diesel for electricity, and they did this without telling the public for like 2 years. And diesel is something like 100 times more expensive than coal, the amount of electricity you get. So it's a lot like the national electricity grid was just burning money, and presumably someone left with
No fortune?
yeah. Well, certainly the diesel companies probably did okay, but they probably did some. They probably gave a bunch of cash to like someone who worked at Eskom, and yeah, they were just burning money. And now our national power company is several billion rand in debt. And no one's going to be blamed because I don't know why. It's only the electricity.
Investigations, but
The ramifications are eaten by the government and hence by the taxpayers instead of by the people that made those stupid, selfish decisions, as is the case with a lot of capitalism gone wrong. I think I'm going to make it ore.
Okay.
I think it should be ore, but it can be a low amount of ore. Oh. Tritium reactor actually lies about how much power it makes. Hold on. Tritium reactor says it makes 150, but actually it makes 100. Not enough. The bioreactor. So this ore cost should actually be, it's quite a big building, so it has to be at least 75. Quite a big building, but it looks kind of crappy. Power output 50. So half of a tritium reactor, but less than half of the cost. I mean, I'm guessing here. Requires food be delivered. Consumes oxygen. Okay, let's see how this goes. I don't know if this needed to be as big as it is. Let's find out. Okay. So, go into the UI prefab, go into the tool panel prefab, go into the infrastructure prefab. There's a pylon. This is the terraform. Place bioreactor. Robbie added shortcut keys for some things. That's cool. Influence. Okay, hi. Huh. Place bioreactor. That should just work. Oh, it's gonna be fun. Okay. Oh, and here we can see it. Oh. Okay, it's got a glowing light on it, which it shouldn't have. It does make it look kind of rad, but let's just see if this works at all. Hold on, I didn't, Terence, I'm not playing any music. Are you playing music?
Oh, no, I just assumed you'd be playing.
Oh, I'm such an idiot. Okay, hold on, let's,
Got some jams.
yeah, that's, sorry. Actually, that's fine. Where's that? How's that sound? Do you know? Okay.
Perfect.
Hey, here's a little. I don't know. Tritium reactors are going to be using. We made it. The tritium reactor use tritium faster. I'm just looking at it now. It's going to be using it very quickly. Is that it? That is making power. Okay. That's pretty good smoke as well. It's very simple, but it'll work. How many? You need a lot of trucks to supply this bioreactor. This kind of adds to its cost as well, effectively. Wonder. I'm gonna have to make a. Well, I am making a level. I'm gonna have to make a level where it's sort of. Oh, yeah. This stuff still looks good. Alright, good. Get a little less. Oh, it's really good metallic. I think. Okay. So, can I have this? Yeah, I can. I actually think the tritium mine. No, tritium reactor. She might be a bit high. Does it really put stress on your truck network? Okay. What should this be like? Okay. What if I want it to be as big as this? It doesn't make enough power to warrant this size. This doesn't feel right. It's half the power. Okay, I'll worry about that later. So I'm just looking at this bioreactor going. That's a pretty big building for the amount of power it creates. It's like the same sort of size as a tritium reactor, but it makes half the power. You know, it's cheaper, etc. But it's also using a much cheaper source. Okay, I'm gonna leave it for now, but I feel like it makes I feel like you don't need as big a no, I'm sorry, it's bothering me. Okay. Okay, I'm not bothering you enough. I think it'd be better if it was 2 by 2, the amount of power it creates, because you're going to need a few of these. But you're going to need much larger amounts of farms as well. Oh, suppose here's the question. This is compared to. Oh, okay. It's worth 5 solar panels, so that's this size. So it's half the footprint of the solar panels, but it needs to be built. How much is half the footprint? Makes 50 power. Costs 3 solar panels, but a lot of food. Okay, I'm gonna feel a lot better about all of this if it puts out 75. So that's 7. It's very worthwhile all cost-wise, but you need all of the farms. Yeah, I'm gonna feel better about this now. Okay. Continuing. So Robbie has this really cool tool which allows for the creation of levels pretty quickly. I'm gonna think about this level. I think I want a level that's going to be, significantly far into the campaign, so you can do some weird things in terms of the placement. Like, it doesn't need to be like a straightforward, they're coming from the top. It's like level 5 or something. They've seen that a few times. This level, they came from all 4 directions. I don't feel like that's what I want to do either. It might be cool to have a level where they come from the sort of left and right. Or maybe like the top left and top right. 2 main pathways. Yeah. If I'm going to do this first I want to get all of these buildings. Complete invisible houses now. Okay, hopefully that didn't mess anything up too much. It did a little bit. The snap to grid means sometimes the 1 block things move differently to the 2 blocks. I'm not even sure where the houses are going to be now. So, and I locked in the bioreactor with me. I don't think I want that bioreactor yet. You're going to have to build that. Now, it's time. No references. What does this say? Probably that. I don't have the environment set up here. Select level building. No. Palette. That's probably what's wrong. Okay. Now let's try. Else. Oh. Doesn't look good. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so I can do things like that pretty quickly. And I'm not going to make a beautiful level. It doesn't make sense to try to do that. I'm just going to make a level that works. How much is that? I've got 20 minutes. I guess the big thing I've got to do is make the oxygen resource actually exist. Because the bioreactor doesn't make sense if you can just build it any time. It's too good, I think. Well, it's meant to be too good, even if it isn't. So, how about enemies coming from here? And yeah, this looks pretty good. And you can have a little bit of defense here. You can nestle the most important resources here. But, you don't have this. I'm gonna get rid of these things. Because recently, if you haven't seen already, there's a concept of lava. If it were to work, it would be super cool. Huh. What's going on there? Jonathan, sorry to interrupt you. The terrain painter's not quite working. Oh, there's a null reference in it. That's probably it. I'm getting this. Like I'm getting cliffs. Okay. I think. Yeah. Oh, there is a null reference. I don't know if something's changed recently. There. I want to get to the lava. This is probably.
This is a new level.
Yes. So there's probably some setup that I'm not aware of. I did. So I have like set this.
Right.
Is there like?
Can you look inside the desert terrain palette again?
Yeah.
Just make sure that everything's. Okay.
But this is like get cell is returning null. I presume. This is some terrain data. Oh no, hold on, there's a whole lot of things. It could also be the renderer. Get component renderer could be returning null. I don't know actually where the null is. It's probably not get cell. It probably is the renderer. Right?
Guess it's as good as mine.
Okay. That is making a null. Oh, game object is being destroyed. Okay, well that's simpler. So the renderer gets destroyed and then it's like, but that's not interrupting it. Okay. Okay, I guess I'm just gonna go. Oh. Well, good luck, Robbie, in figuring out. Who wrote this code?
I mean, I don't want to say Robbie wrote it, but he did put it in the project. You can also tell it not to do the combining at all, which seems to be what's causing this in the first place.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know what's.
yeah, you can go to the part where it says calculate max expansion.
Hmm?
The place where it's called. I think it's only called one place. And not do the expand parts. Oh, so combine cliff tops. Just not do that either.
Why would I?
So this is the thing that tries to make it so that instead of every tile being a separate object, like tries to combine them. If you do your refresh thing now and then start painting again,
What is when you say refresh?
in your map or desert environment, not sure. So now it's this version, and if you paint, I think it should just
Yo, it doesn't combine anything.
yeah. So now it doesn't combine anything, and then when you want to combine it, you can combine it at the end. But maybe you won't keep getting errors.
But I do need to eventually combine it.
Yeah, so at the end you can do it.
You think?
I don't know why this is happening though. But try painting and see if.
Okay, well, let's try painting. I'm not seeing lava here either, right?
Oh yeah, the lava mesh has to be placed.
Where do I do that? It's like
Oh,
some
there's a lava
setup.
game objectives.
It's at setup. Maybe this could be something to do with the failure.
Maybe. I have never
Before I
made
go-
this.
Before I go any further, let's just see, because I didn't have that set up apparently. So maybe all the errors coming from that. Let's. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay. Happiness. Okay. Thanks that solved it.
You have to say hi to Darshana.
Don.
Darshana.
Hi Darshana, but who is Darshana?
Darshana is a Brothels player.
What a honorable and good human being. Oh, with great taste, and shall I say handsome too? Probably. Stands to reason. Stands to reason. I'm just going to do this very quickly now. It doesn't make sense to spend that long on this on stream. I'll get it better. I like these little islands in the lava. It's like the little you build little like continue your power network across the island. It feels really good. really good. Just trying to make these rocks kind of, I guess, look vaguely natural. It's a bit of a silly thing to be doing, I guess, spending a lot of time on it, because I don't think anyone really cares and is evaluating the, what is it, the geology of these levels and comparing them to real planets and ecosystems and stuff. But it's the kind of thing that bothers me when not done right, I guess. So I'm doing it right. Or I'm doing it okay, should I say. But that's about all I really have time for and want to do. It's not necessarily that worthwhile. So, aliens are going to come down this way. I think I'm going to make them also come from up here. I think that'll be kind of fun. A little, kind of, little stream here. Oh, yeah, I like this. Just break this up a little bit. Not that this is a relevant part of the map, but doing this wrong would bother me. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I want. Okay. Okay. What have we got now? Some power down here. Give it a good tooltip at some point. Pick up these pylons. Something not quite sure. A little ore patch there. Is this a low ore map? That's probably the case. It's probably the case. Okay. Do I even want Tranquil? Maybe not. Think about it. Nests. That's about 20 that way. So 10, 10, 12. Nest bottom has been deleted, but I'm going to want one here. This is not that big. Two ways before spawning. This is gonna sneak in around here. I mean, it's not gonna be a good way. Okay. Okay. How's this gonna work? There's lots of land to potentially terraform. Map itself. So, here's where we could make the sandstorms more vicious, which would be just fine if you had lots of bioreactors running. So thinking. More sandstorms. Sandstorms aren't fun, but there's so in theory, there's a way around them now. Okay. So it goes something like this. At the moment, the bioreactors aren't going to use any oxygen, but it's a thing that I can kind of, for testing purposes, just ignore. And then later on, these are consumes oxygen, requires food to be delivered, and it consumes oxygen. So it doesn't actually consume any oxygen, but it will. And it's quite affordable ore-wise for the amount of power you get. Wait, is this connected up? Probably not. There, it's connected up. I'm going to want another one of these. I'm going to want more farmlands. So, and here's the real thing, the terraforming. I wonder if it uses enough food. Probably not. Okay, so terraforming here is coming along. This still hasn't. So this is what I meant about sandstorms. Lots of sandstorms. And I'm doubling up on this. Get more. Get more. I definitely need more money. Badly positioned. More houses. Make this thing produce more money. Okay. Yeah, definitely need a capacitor or two. Aliens in 3 seconds. Here's our aliens. Mhm. Okay. So there's going to be some aliens coming from here next. You know, so it looks like there's plenty of. It looks like I could just keep doing this and it would be reasonable. wonder what the... Oh, that's not great. So what I'm seeing here is I put this ore mine here, which might be a bad idea. Obviously there shouldn't be an ore mine over there. But this ore mine would need to be defended or, you know, better than... Oh. That was close. So, I mean, the kind of thing I would do here, if I was seriously trying to win this level, would be something like this, and then yeah, try to direct the flow of aliens this side, and then put like some, you know, thumpers here. Yeah? Level 2 super hard. Robbie's actually requested, and I think he's right, that I make a level in between 1 and 2 that specifically teaches specifically teaches the charging of turrets so that you don't run out of charge and wonder why. This number up here says plus 75 here, but some people might think that based on experience in other games that all you need is for that number to be positive and you're good, but actually what's the case in this game is that you need that number to be high for your towers to be charging adequately quickly. So I'm going to try to teach you that, and maybe teach you a little bit about the possibility of, you know, back entrances that aliens can get through. Although the point of having that back entrance was to let people know that sometimes the aliens won't just attack from the most direct place. And like, if you don't know that, you don't learn that lesson, that the later levels are going to be very hard. Was the thinking there, I guess. Let's get some power here. I'm gonna finish up now, I guess, but I'm not playing particularly well, if I'm honest. Let's get a couple more messages. Whoa, minus 48. What took all that? Oh, what's going on? So this is something to worry about with the bioreactors, I guess. That if they run out at a specific moment, it could be really bad. As it is really bad right now. And I've got 2 seconds. Probably need more trucks here. I have been neglecting. Yeah. So, And this install comes, and if I had one more bioreactor, this wouldn't be happening. No. Don't kill my stuff. It wasn't necessarily the smartest placement. Don't lose. Don't lose. And I lost. Okay, the lesson was you need lots of farms to make these things work. Which I think is a good lesson. I think it's a good lesson. That's actually... that gives me some hope. Now what I need to connect up is that oxygen actually produce, well the terraforms actually produce oxygen. If I've got that, I think the bioreactors will kind of, or they'll be encouraging the, so what I'd actually be, they'd be encouraging the building of more terraformers, and that would be good because that's definitely a thing I want. So I'm just, so the kind of thing I'd be doing is, you know, greenhouse, you know, terraformer, perhaps even in the middle here. Terraformer, like in the middle here. And maybe another terraformer in the middle here. And you'd build these like systems like this. Expensive crops. And then lots of trucks, of course. Yeah, I think this could work. Lots of houses. Yeah, connect that up there. And you start to get the potential for a really excellent like base. Hopefully it doesn't make it too easy. Now that's is something I'm concerned about now. That doing this just causes energy to be trivial, but that didn't seem like it was the case when I was doing this before. They don't seem that powerful, so maybe put it in, we can see how it works out. Okay, run out of ore, but yeah, anyway, so we could cheat. We could put a couple more of these in. And this is kind of the sort of thing we might have. A fair bit of ore there. And it's using ore fairly quickly. Also, the current thinking is, how much do each of these cost? Fair bit. I mean, the current thinking is you'd need quite a few of these to keep up with the amount of like bio oil usage here, which suits me fine. That might just work good. Yeah. How much does it take? Yeah. These guys are maintaining just for this many farms. I think that feels good. And it doesn't seem to, I mean, it requires a lot of trucks by the look of it, but it's not an insane number. Okay. I think this has been a successful experiment. I think this map's going to be cool when eventually it's done. I kind of like how this kind of base looks, like with the you know, with the like energy production looking like this. It looks pretty good. It requires farms. It might actually need more. Yeah, I think they gotta consume food a bit faster than this. If they were at 2 times, I think it might be good. It's gonna require a ton of trucks to make this work, but that's exactly what I want. Yeah, it adds the credits cost of the bioreactors if you need a truck per bioreactor, which means they can be they are like very ore efficient as it stands. I think they're they're at 75 power. Sorry, at 75 ore, they're producing 75 power, where it's like 2.5 times better than one of these, but they cost another 100 credits each, at least for the roads, if not another 50 here. 150, probably like 100 and probably like 200 credits or more to get a bioreactor for 75 power. If you're ore constrained, that's a really good deal. If you're not, oh, and these. Maybe it should be maybe it should be even more power because of the oxygen thing. Because you got to run a whole bunch of yeah. I mean, they take at least 20 power to. They're going to take at least 20 power from the terraformers. So it's actually only like 50 power, which is not looking like such a good deal. So I'm gonna make 100 energy, and I think that'll be good. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching. I hope this has been interesting. In about a day or two, there's going to be a new build. This is going to be in it. Also, there's going to be that like in between level 2. Unfortunately, I think Robbie's changed the saving system, so there's a reasonable chance everyone's saves are going to be lost. If that happens to you, I think you can press Control U or Shift U and just unlock everything, or unlock the next thing in the level select menu. For now, we got that cheat in because yeah, the save system is getting more complicated as more levels are being added, and yeah, that's a bunch of new fixes and tweaks in the next build. And terraforming's the big exciting one. So it's the cool looking new houses. And yeah, that's it from me. I will continue working on this, and in a day or two, there'll be a new build. Thanks for watching.